a year ago, just to show people what it's like now, back to what it was as little as 2 years ago. That photograph you can see there was actually supplied by the developer with the application for 952 to show that the bungalow which was there was just not visible. I've got a letter from Richard behind you that wrote in and said, well, where was this building that was demolishing? There never was a building there because nobody knew it was there. It was hidden. Visible by aerial views, which we'll see in a few minutes, but it just wasn't visible. I'll show that again. That's before, that's now. I know it goes again. And this actually is not a proper photograph, because if you went back a year before that, you wouldn't see this either. This area here was covered by trees. These trees were taller. That building didn't exist. Further over here, there's loads of caravans that you can see now. None of it was visible. If you walked on the East Hill, Ecclesbourne Meadow, as little as 5 years ago, certainly 10 years ago, you knew there was a caravan site there, and you knew this house was there, but hardly visible. I'm going to leave the house at the moment because there's nothing more we can do. We've fought as best we can for you people and for ourselves and for the good of Hastings. At the moment, it's with the legal. There's nothing more we can do. So if there are any questions about the house you think of, stop me at any time or ask questions later on. There will be an open forum later on for people to talk. Google Earth is a really useful tool that anybody can get that's got a PC or even a mobile phone, and you can look at images taken from satellites, and every now and then the images are refreshed, and luckily for us you can go back in time and have a look to see what things used to be like. So there's actually 5 images exactly the same area, and I've got these one after the other so you can see the difference. First one was 11 years ago in 2004. Huge amount of tree structure here. These trees are quite tall. From this angle here, these trees blocked out virtually everything there. That building is relatively small. The bungalow that was knocked down to build the bunker was invisible, caused by these trees here. And even the main house, which is here, couldn't really be seen because of the tree line. That was 2004. As little as a year later, we start seeing changes. So this is 10 years ago from now. The site operators who had, the people that own it now have never put in the planning application to build on the lower slopes at all. The people that owned the site before did on several occasions try to get planning permission to build on this area here, and it was refused, and then it went back in and it was refused, it went back in and it was refused, it went to appeal and it was refused, it went back in, it was refused, it went to appeal. It was refused so many times because it should not be built on, partly because it's unstable, but mainly because if you're building on there, you can see the caravan site from the other side of the meadow. And the council that was done their job and would not let any people build there.
Can you show the imposed planning conditions on that lower area where you can see the single caravan?
Sorry, I'm pushing a button there.
Anyway, the imposed planning conditions, one of which was that was to be reserved as a leisure and amenity area.
This area here.
And most significantly, that every single tree in the caravan site was protected, and that no trees could be touched without seeking prior consent. All of these.
We'll come back to that in a little bit in a second. Do you know Richard Price is standing right on the back? Richard's been in conference with Hastings Borough Council and our local councillors and our own MP over the last 10 years, Richard, at least, and kept getting letters back saying, what are you complaining for? There's nothing we can do. They can do what they want on their own site. However, they couldn't. The council did not look at the documents that they was asked to look for. Richard put in a specific question. Is there anything here that protects these trees? And the answer come back from the council, no. And that was either incompetence or a lie, because all of the trees on the whole site were protected.
And they did repeat the same story to the MP?
Exactly,
yes.
Yeah. I've got letters to that on here. Coming on then, this is 10 years ago, one caravan, not a great change on the site from the year before. We now step forward 5 years, and all of a sudden we see these trees are shorter, they've had the tops of the trees taken out. The trees around the bungalow here have been reduced. And more importantly, there are now 6 caravans on these lower slopes, in an area totally unlawful for them to build on. Now if it was just that they built there, it may not be too bad, but you could see these caravans from the other side of the valley.
Not only are they caravans, in order to build the caravans they had to terrace the land. If you went back to the previous slide, Bob, you can see there's one caravan there which was placed in that direction. But that's simply because there wasn't enough level land at the time, so in order to create the site they had to terrace the land. And we've got confirmation from Kofi geotechnical engineers that the land was terraced using extraneous material that must have been brought in from off-site. And we've had eyewitness accounts that up to 50 lorries brought the material. We're talking about hundreds of tons of extraneous material used for terracing, which is putting a load. But we'll come on to that when we come on to the landslide. Sorry, Bob.
That's quite okay. That was 2009. 5 years later, or 4 years later, I think, we get 2013. This is another Google Earth image. And can you see the change just in that 5 years of the tree cover? This area here, the trees have been lopped again. There are now 8 caravans, concrete structure here, or a road to service these caravans. There's also a sewage system being built here, again unlawfully, and that serves the whole of the caravan site. So there's actually a huge cesspit for pumping it here. This goes downhill, so all of the sewage from this site ends up in a big pot there, and then it's pumped back up to the main road there, down to the main sewer. And that sewage area is in the middle of what's now the landslide area.
Nice.
Paddy?
Bob, what shocks me, and I think a lot of other people, is that over the years, that our council employees up at the country park, as rangers and other staff up there, this activity has not been reported.
You're absolutely
and
right.
I think it's disgraceful that this has all happened. Obviously it's been seen, but why wasn't it reported?
Well,
Now that's a serious thing.
I've got something that amused me, well it amuses me now. I wrote to Virginia Gilbert, who was head of Leisure and Amenity at the time, asking her about why nothing had been done. And she reported back, and I've got it in writing, that she assured me that none of her staff had noticed any developments at Rocklands over 5 years.
And many people around here walked down the footpath and saw it happen. I didn't, to be honest. I didn't. John?
Well, the sewage is at the top there, top end up there, but
Yeah.
the sewage line runs right under those caravans. Connection.
Yeah.
So when it next
So it comes down here and then it goes along there.
into the Glen.
Does that mean when the landslip hits there, and it will, that it will spill it all out?
Very likely.
Yeah.
Can you see this footpath here? These are the footpaths along the bottom of... This is... I'm sure you'll know where this is. This area here we call Rocklands Meadow. This is Rocklands Lane comes up here, and Barley Lane go across there. And the footpaths across here, the footpath is now closed, it goes down into the valley. That area there, can you see there's a bit of a dogleg in it? The original footpath went across there. Yeah? And this area here was the first first time the council knew about any land slippage within the site. Or rather, the first time that it's been admitted to. They did know about it, we'll come back to that in a second. But this footpath actually started to move, and at this time the footpath was actually closed, and we've got documents here to say this footpath was closed due to this rather, in the scheme of things now, rather small landslide, but it is quite a few feet. These things are 6 metres long, so that landslip there is 4 metres, 45 metres, which is significant really, and the rangers saw that, but they didn't see these. But now, they're there, you can't miss it.
Yes, because they were doing work on that path, weren't they? Yeah.
We now notice solar panels here, which are visible from the moon. And you notice that this building here has appeared. Let's go back to 2009. This was before the apartment block was built. I don't think anybody around this table knew the apartment block was being built. We all walked over there, nobody even see it happening because the trees were too high, or not too high, but high enough to hide it.
No, just there. You see, the other factor, if you see the large area of car park in there,
Yeah.
if you go back to the previous slide, it's not there. It's probably dirt at that time, but the area is significantly less.
This looks like some form of wall here.
Between 2000 and
Yeah.
2009, they built a large area of hard
I've got a
standing.
feeling this is some form of retaining structure
Yeah.
here because of the shadow.
Yeah. But the point is they did it without proper drainage, without permission,
And without proper roads, nothing
And-
under the road.
somewhat coincidentally, if you like, the large landslip of 2014 begins right at the end of that road, which, if you go forward again, Bob, then next one, you see there's a little delta there at the car
Yeah.
park. That turned into the giant landslip of 2014. And in my opinion,
Yeah.
one of the primary causes is the additional runoff from what is a man-made catchment area.
Now, unfortunately, the photographs I'm going to show you now are quite distressing, to be honest, because this actually now shows for the next 4 or 5 slides the devastation within the country park. Hands up those who've actually been over there and seen this so far. Quite most people. That's really good. This is this year. This is April this year, a full 12 months after the landslide. And this area here, they had the caravans are now gone. And the landslide starts, this concrete structure here is holding this back a little bit, but you can see with photographs in here how bad it is. Between there and there is about 100 metres. Sorry, that's about 60 metres, that's about 100 metres. And the footpath is, well, it's just not there. And you'll see in a second where you used to walk and where you can walk now. Now also on this map, hidden by the word Google, you'll see the new building. I'm just going to take you back to show you how the building is compared with the little bungalow that wasn't visible a few years ago. Is now not only glaringly huge and white, but it's white from the back.
Can I add that what that picture doesn't show is there's fencing, barbed wire.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You'll see that in a second.
A lot of rubbish on the caravan side.
Yeah.
Back car
You'll see all that
batteries.
in a second. It's amazing how much rubbish there's down there, but it is quite distressing, these photographs I'm going to show
We
you.
raised the question of rubbish under the Grotbusters initiative. We've written to the council 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, I took the photos and sent
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And basically we've been told that the level of rubbish there is commensurate
Well, they
with
couldn't find it, though.
operations of caravan
We
park.
went down and couldn't
Oh no,
see.
our enforcement officers couldn't find it 2 times, and finally we got the response that the level of rubbish is commensurate with use as a caravan site, which includes acids, batteries, asbestos, oil, you name it. They're basically not lifting a finger.
Yeah, but that's not in the caravan site.
It was, but it's now in our country park.
So it stops at 3 Street.
Technically, yeah, but it's on the lower slopes of Rocklands.
We will come back to an aerial image in a second, actually.
It's a health and safety issue, isn't it?
You'd think so.
So this council really must be.
Now, asbestos is a health and safety
Yes,
issue.
fantastic.
I wrote to the head of environment last year, who now is responsible for the new caravan site licence, Mike Hepworth, and he did confirm there was asbestos. When I put him on the line and asked him where it had come from and was it Rocklands, he told me he couldn't possibly know where the asbestos came from. So I did suggest it might be the asbestos fairy or seagulls, but he didn't reply to that. Just basically ignoring everything.
I'm running a little bit over time here, but I'm going to carry on as I am because I think this is that's the picture from the other side of the valley now, as of today. I believe that was taken 2 or 3 weeks ago. There's a bungalow. There's Chris up there looking at it. This house fencing has been put in to delineate the edge of the site, but it hasn't stopped people from the caravan site walking down here. This site is treacherously dangerous, and there's nothing to stop people walking down here. I've got a long lens photograph of a woman walking along here with a baby, literally a 3-month-old baby, walking along to have a look, see what's going on. and this is treacherous. If you've walked along here yourself, now is about the last you're going to be able to do it this winter, I believe. Chris and I walked over there last weekend, it was welly time now. It's going to get worse, and this, we'll show you some pictures of that from a different angle. This is going to collapse very, very shortly.
Bob, what's that object? Just
There?
left a bit there. Yeah,
There.
what's that?
That's a digger, I think. I think it's
Digger.
I think
A
it's a digger.
digger.
We have that. We have diggers in a second.
Or is it an abandoned staircase?
Yeah, I think it might be a platform.
This is basically the sea of mud, which is what used to be beautiful countryside with bluebells, and it's quite frightening and sad to see it. That area there, can you remember when you walk down the steps, there was a nice seat that you could sit on, ideal place to put a seat where you can have a bit of a rest. Seats there. Anybody sitting on that seat when it comes down is no longer with us. The council did actually move the seat about 3 weeks before it collapsed, so luckily nobody could have been sitting on it, but that's the area where the seat used to be. And these photographs are only a few weeks old. That's another angle of the same. There's a seat there. This used to be the footpath that went round. Walkers being what they are, a lot of them are pretty strenuous people. Walkers have actually cut their way through there now, so you can get through, but it is closed to the public for safety reasons. It is physically possible to work your way through there.
Pretty muddy now as well.
It's very muddy now. Have you been over there recently, Jack?
Yeah, every morning.
Yeah. Well, I went over there last Sunday. It was the latest I've been over there, and it's welly time now. This is the Heras fencing that I showed you. Would be just out of view, and these planks are just about to go. These were photographed only a few days ago. The water pooling here is indicative of a
And that was
very, very
before
high
the big
water
rain
level.
we just had.
This was, well, it's been, I think we went over there because it was a few weeks, 2 weeks ago. That was
Yeah,
this
a
photograph.
couple of weeks ago.
It hadn't been raining for a few days before this, but we have had quite heavy rain a little bit before that. But that puddle's been there throughout the whole summer. This area, it's a lovely phrase that Chris has used, it's now been taken on by the geotechnical people, it's super saturated. It can't get any wetter. As soon as it gets any wetter, it will start moving. That's me saying, hurry up.
Kate's ready.
This is the fence that used to be alongside the footpath. It's really distressing. This is the view from, would be coming in from Ecclesbourne Meadow. The cave would be about down here. So this is the footpath up from where the cave is. And this used to be the footpath. If you look along the end, you can just about make out where the other end of the footpath is, where the walk down from the East Hill.
Yes.
So this used to be a through footpath that was absolutely gorgeous.
Well, it was completely covered on both sides by mature hedgerows and trees.
And this chain link fence, which is now down there, used to be across there. So it's... We have... You can't see Rick sitting down here. This is Rick's contribution to our campaign. How high is that, Rick? How high off the ground is that?
Gets up about 300 feet.
About 300 feet, 100 metres above ground. Bulldozer. Talk about that in a second. I'd like to run this twice if you like, actually, because it really is, although it's distressing, it really does show the reason why we're fighting these people and why we're trying to get things done to put it right. And we'll talk in a second about the width of this structure here and what we think's caused it.
It's just so obvious.
Okay.
Well,
I can't freeze it at the moment,
No.
we'll go back to it in a second.
you can just about see the beginning of yet another road
Yes.
that they'd intended for
We-
presumably yet another terrace.
Yeah. We feel we can't prove it, but we all feel, everybody in the campaign, and I believe everybody around this table as well, believe that this row of caravans was to be duplicated by a row of caravans along here.
Yes.
Totally unlawful. We can't prove it, but we're pretty certain that's the reason for the landslide. It's that this road was to service another line of caravans.
And you
When it
recall,
rains, you can just see the water just pouring down that road into
So there's going to be rocket scientists in know that.
did you recall in 2013 the footpath was shut, which meant there was no public access? As soon as that was shut, Rocklands started removing all the trees along that footpath and levelling the land for what I believe to be a second row illegal to caravans.
We've been trying to get...
It's concrete up there, not a piece of drainage anywhere.
On a second note on this particular image, and this conjures up a bit of a story now, we've been trying to get the police and other authorities to be involved in our campaign because we are saying that unlawful activities have taken place. This photograph or this aerial image proves that an unlawful activity has been taking place because Chris and I were not arrested, but we were actually visited by our boys in blue to say that we're breaking the law, or in particular Rick was breaking the law for taking his images. And Rick was visited by the police, even though no law was actually broken. However, the police listened to these developers to say that we are intimidating them and hassling them, and we're the ones that have actually broken the law. With no case to handle, it's been turned down ridiculously. I mean, it was just nonsense, wasn't it, Rick?
It needs to be contrasted. We wrote to the police with a crime report about what we consider illegal wildlife crimes at Rocklands in April. We haven't had the courtesy to reply. Rocklands complained about our photographs on the old bill at my door 2 days later. Compare and contrast.
Well,
Yes.
you know what is so disgraceful? We're all here as residents and concerned people. The council has put this onus onto us to sort this out. They know illegal things have happened up there, and yet they've wiped their hands off it, really. And we are left to fight it, and I think it's disgusting.
It is disgusting.
And I think Amber Rudd should be here.
Yes, Amber did make an apology. She couldn't come. Not that she didn't want to come, she couldn't come.
On to New Haven today, apparently. But this is all wrong. We, as lay people and residents, have got to fight these people who have committed illegal acts, which the council should be picking up on. It's not right.
It's not just that they're not fighting them, it just seems overwhelmingly to us that they are aiding and abetting them.
Well, let's be quite outspoken about this. From the very beginning, there was a particular planning officer who actually encouraged this bunker to go up.
Yep.
We won't mention his name, he's gone. But this all the way through, they've been encouraged and they've been helped to get this deception going. And I think it's totally wrong. It's fallen back on residents to fight it. It's not fair. It's wrong. The council should be answerable for this. Absolutely.
I can't remember who I was. I didn't know who I was walking back up. I said we weren't going to be talking about the house ever again, but unfortunately it's got to be in this photograph because right next to the house